Love is a match in a lake of gasoline. When it goes out, all that's left is poison and a choice to burn or to set it all on fire yourself. Watch to the end, and you'll find out how far someone with nothing to lose can go. I used to believe love was a math problem, solve it once, and the answer stays fixed. My name's Ethan Carter, and I've spent the last 8 years building a life that looked perfect on paper. A mid-level management job at Horizon Mart, a 401k, and a fiancée named Olivia Rivers who could light up a room with her crooked smile. We met in the cereal aisle. She was stocking Frosted Flakes, humming a Taylor Swift song under her breath. I joked that sugar was a public health crisis. She threw a box at my head. 2 months later, we were splitting rent on a one-bedroom apartment. Our relationship was a checklist of milestones. Engaged after 6 months. Wedding plans pinned to a shared Google Doc. Sex every Tuesday and Friday, like clockwork. I thought predictability was a virtue. Olivia called it comfortable. Back then, I didn't notice how her voice flattened when she said it. The cracks started small. She'd leave her coffee mug in the sink instead of the dishwasher. I'd reheat leftovers without asking if she'd eaten. We stopped hiking on weekends because I was too busy prepping for Monday meetings. Olivia filled the silence with TikTok dances and late-night shifts at the store. I told myself this was adulthood, natural slowdown. Love wasn't fireworks. It was embers. Safe. Contained. Then Derek Malone transferred to our branch. Derek worked in the warehouse. 6'2", tattooed knuckles, and a grin that made you feel like he was laughing at a joke you hadn't heard. The women in the store flocked to him. Cashiers lingered by his forklift. Department managers needed help lifting boxes. He'd wink and call them boss, and they'd giggle like teenagers. I dismissed him as a walking cliché, the blue-collar Casanova. Our first interaction was at the time clock. I was adjusting my tie, prepping for a supplier call when his shadow crossed mine. "Nice shoes, Carter," he said, nodding at my Oxfords. "You ever get 'em dirty?" The team within earshot snorted. I forced a laugh. Conflict was a splinter. Better to ignore than dig it out. Olivia noticed. That night, she traced the starch-stiff collar of my shirt and said, "You let him talk to you like that?" Her tone wasn't concerned. It was disappointed. I shrugged. "He's harmless. Harmless men don't smirk that much," she muttered, rolling over to face the wall. The next week, I caught them talking by the loading dock. Olivia was leaning against Derek's forklift, twisting a strand of hair around her finger, a habit she'd had since our first date. He said something I couldn't hear, and she laughed, sharp and bright, the way she used to laugh at my dumb puns. When I asked her about it later, she scrolled through her phone, not looking up. "He's just funny." "Funny how?" "God, Ethan, not everything's a threat." She stood abruptly, phone clutched to her chest. "I'm grabbing drinks with Marissa." "Don't wait up." That night, I found a crumpled receipt in her jacket pocket. The Rusty Anchor, 9 p.m. 2 IPAs, 1 whiskey sour. The timestamp matched her girls' night. The whiskey sour was Derek's drink. I'd seen him order it at the holiday party. I stared at the receipt until the numbers blurred. Then I folded it into a tiny square and buried it in the trash. Denial, I learned, isn't a river, it's a life raft. Weeks bled into a numb routine. Olivia's laughter grew, quieter at home, louder at work. She started wearing perfume again, something floral and unfamiliar, and left her wedding planner untouched on the coffee table. I told myself it was stress. The store's holiday rush, her mother's health, the leak in our bathroom ceiling. Excuses piled up like unopened bills. I began mapping her movements. Olivia's shifts ended at 4 p.m., but twice a week, she'd linger near the loading dock. Security footage showed Derek leaning against his truck, smoking, while Olivia scrolled through her phone beside him. They never touched, just shared silence. I rewound the tapes, searching for a sign I'd misread. But absence can scream louder than action. One night, I found a hairpin on the passenger seat of my car, thin silver, not Olivia's style. She'd always worn claw clips. When I held it up to the light, she snatched it away. "Marissa's," she said. We carpooled. Her eyes flickered to the left. A tell she'd picked up for me. I staged a date night. Candles, salmon she loved but never cooked, a playlist of songs from her first year. Olivia picked at her food, phone face down beside her fork. When Sweet Nothing by Taylor Swift played, "All you ever wanted from me was nothing," she flinched. "We should talk," I said. She stiffened. "About what?" The words curdled in my throat. "About the way you flinch when I touch your waist now. About the rusty anchor receipt I fished from the trash. About how you hum Derek's name in the shower." Instead, I said, "The wedding venue called. They need a deposit." Her shoulders relaxed. "Oh, right." She texted under the table while I cleared the plates. Later, I found her asleep on the couch, phone unlocked in her hand. My finger hovered over her messages. But trust, once broken, can't be uncracked. I covered her with a blanket and walked away. The video arrived on a Tuesday. Anonymous number. No text, just a link to a cloud folder. Olivia's voice first, a breathy laugh I hadn't heard in months. Then the camera tilted up, Derek's tattooed hand gripping her hip, her back arched against a concrete wall. The timestamp matched her yoga class last Thursday. I drove to the store, hands shaking, and sat in the parking lot until sunrise. Olivia's car wasn't there. Neither was Derek's truck. At 6 a.m., she texted, "Stayed at Marissa's. Rough night." The security cameras told a different story. At 1:17 a.m., Derek's headlights cut through the empty lot. Olivia climbed into his cab, her silhouette leaning into him before the truck vanished into the dark. I deleted the video. Then I vomited in the restroom, the acidic burn a welcome anchor to reality. When I emerged, Derek was leaning against my desk, grinning. "Rough morning, Carter?" The world narrowed to his throat. For a heartbeat, I understood violence. Then Olivia walked by, eyes red-rimmed, avoiding us both. The world moved in slow motion after that. I drove home on autopilot, the steering wheel slick under my palms. Olivia's side of the closet hung open, half empty, as if she'd already begun vanishing. Her lavender shampoo lingered in the shower, a ghost of her presence. I sat on the edge of our bed, the same bed where she'd traced constellations on my back and whispered forever like it was a spell. Now the sheets felt like sandpaper. I opened our shared laptop, fingers hovering over the wedding spreadsheet. Florist, $2,500. Venue deposit, $5,000. The numbers blurred. In the trash folder, I found a deleted email from Derek. Subject line, Friday night. No body text, just an attachment. I didn't click. Some doors, once open, can't be closed. At 3 a.m., I stood in the kitchen, staring at the knife block. Not for violence, for the sharp, clean pain of a sliced fingertip. Something real. Instead, I smashed our engagement photo against the tile. Glass shards glittered like fake diamonds around our frozen smiles. Olivia came home at dawn, reeking of bourbon and regret. She froze in the doorway, eyes darting from the shattered frame to my bloodied hands. I'd picked up the glass barehanded, needing to feel something. "Ethan, don't." My voice cracked. "Just don't." She hovered, a stranger in her own skin. When she reached for me, I recoiled. Her touch felt like a lie. She retreated to the bathroom, the shower's roar drowning out her muffled sobs. I counted the cracks in the ceiling until sunrise. At work, Derek smirked as I passed his forklift. Rough night, Carter? His breath smelled of Olivia's mint gum. I walked faster, my polished shoes clicking like a metronome counting down to collapse. That night, I found the necklace. Gold chain, heart pendant, not Olivia's. Tucked under our mattress, cold against my probing fingers. Engraved on the back, to my little lioness. The walls breathed in, crushing. I hurled the necklace into the storm drain, then parked outside Derek's apartment. His truck wasn't there. Olivia's car was. Rain pounded the windshield as I filmed it, their shadows moving behind thin curtains, her laugh piercing through the static. When the light died, I drove to Horizon Mart's parking lot and screamed until my throat bled. At dawn, I uploaded the security footage to the cloud. Tagged every employee. Hit send as the sun rose, blood orange and judgmental. Olivia's text buzzed an hour later. We need to talk. I blocked her number. Chaos erupted quietly at first. Whispers slithered through Horizon Mart's aisles like snakes. Cashiers clustered in break rooms, phones clutched in white-knuckled hands. I watched from my office, security feeds split into a dozen panes of muted horror. Marissa from Cosmetics slammed her locker shut, tears smearing her mascara. A stock boy scrolled through the leaked video, paused, and vomited into a trash can. Derek's name trended locally by noon. The video, raw, unedited, had metastasized. Comment sections dissected Olivia's body, his tattoos, the grimy warehouse wall they'd pressed against. Strangers called it pathetic and hot in equal measure. I refreshed the page until my eyes burned. Olivia's desk sat empty. Her coffee mug, still half full, grew a skin of mold. I traced the lipstick stain on its rim, her shade of crimson now a grotesque relic. She found me in the parking lot at dusk. Olivia's face was a mask of cracked foundation, her nails bitten bloody. "Why?" she rasped, voice shredded. "I wanted to say, you did this first." Instead, I stared at her chipped manicure, the same shade she'd worn on our engagement day. "You ruined everything," she whispered. A laugh clawed up my throat. Everything had been ruined long before I hit send. The receipts, the hairpin, the way she'd flinched when I brushed her shoulder. But corpses don't argue with their murderers. I handed her the engagement ring, warm from my pocket. She let it fall into a puddle, the diamond winking like a drowned eye. Derek returned once. Not to work, to clear his locker. His left arm hung in a sling, face mottled with bruises. Rumor said 3 husbands had cornered him in a Denny's parking lot. We locked eyes across the stockroom. For a heartbeat, I saw it, fear, raw, and animal. Then he spat at my shoes. The glob missed, splattering near the safety first sign. Security escorted him out. As the doors hissed shut, he turned, mouthing, "You're next." That night, I dreamed of Olivia. She stood in our kitchen, whole and unbroken, humming as she scrubbed the shattered photo frame. Glass shards cut her palms, but she smiled. See, clean slate. I woke to sirens. Derek's truck had been torched in the lot, flames licking the Horizon Mart sign. The fire department found a gas can with my initials etched into the handle. I hadn't put them there. The police left without handcuffs, but their questions lingered like smoke. "Where were you at 2:17 a.m.? Does anyone corroborate your alibi? Why would someone frame you?" I recited answers like a psalm, voice steady, palms slick against my knees. They took the gas can as evidence, my initials glaring under forensic lights. I scrubbed my hands raw afterward, scalding water erasing nothing. Olivia's Instagram had been deleted, but Derek's was a graveyard of threats. Snitch. Dead man walking. Comments piled up like wreckage. I memorized the timestamps, 2:17 a.m., 2:17 a.m., 2:17 a.m., until the numbers lost meaning. At work, aisles emptied when I approached. Whispers trailed me. Arsonist cuckold monster. The security room became my confessional. I rewound footage of the fire, watching flames devour Derek's truck. In the corner of frame 12, a shadow moved, hooded, faceless, lighter flicking open. I zoomed in. The reflection in a puddle showed Olivia's chipped manicure. She haunted the edges of my life. A flash of her car at a red light. Her perfume in the detergent aisle. Once I found a post-it on my windshield. You owe me. The handwriting wasn't hers. I drove to her parents' house, engine idling down the block. Her mother emerged, trash bag in hand, and froze when she saw me. The bag split, spilling Olivia's childhood, soccer trophies, a prom dress, a stuffed lion with lioness stitched on its paw. Mrs. Rivers knelt, shoulders shaking, as rain soaked the relics. That night, I dreamed of the lion. It prowled our apartment, claws clicking against hardwood, until it pinned me to the bed. You lit the match. It growled in Derek's voice. I woke choking on ash. The email arrived at 3:03 a.m. No subject, just a video attachment. Olivia sat on a motel bed, hair greasy, eyes hollow. They're making me say this. Her voice trembled. Derek's gone. The men who hurt him, they think you sent them. They want money. I don't have. The camera jerked, revealing a cracked mirror. Reflected in it, a knife, a hand with a familiar watch, mine, stolen weeks ago. I deleted it. Burned my laptop. Drove to the motel, but room 217 reeked of bleach and abandonment. Under the bed, I found the necklace, the one I'd thrown into the storm drain. Engraved now, run. Rain blurred the windshield as I merged onto the highway. In the rear view, headlights flickered, 2 pairs, then 4. My phone buzzed with an unknown number. You shouldn't have looked. I pressed the gas. Embers of the life I'd burned glowed in the dark. The highway stretched like a black serpent, swallowing my headlights whole. Rain blurred the lines between asphalt and sky. I drove until the gas gauge hissed empty, then stumbled into a roadside diner, Betty's all-nighter, neon buzzing like a dying insect. The waitress eyed my mud-caked shoes, my twitching hands. Coffee steamed in a chipped mug as I scrolled burner phone forums. Horizon Mart arsonist still at large. Comments speculated about Olivia's disappearance, Derek's hospitalization, my pattern of instability. In the restroom mirror, a stranger stared back, hollow eyes, stubble like rust. I splashed water on my neck, the cold jolting me awake. Behind me, the stall door creaked. A folded newspaper lay on the sink, yesterday's headlines circled in red. Local woman missing, police seek, person of interest. Olivia's face smiled beneath the text, her engagement ring photoshopped onto a stranger's hand. The waitress was gone when I returned. My coffee cup held a napkin scrawled with room 12. Midnight. The motel parking lot reeked of wet asphalt and diesel. Room 12's curtain twitched. I knocked, knuckles bruising against wood. The door swung open to darkness. Olivia's perfume hung thick, jasmine and nicotine. A silhouette shifted near the bed. You shouldn't have come. Her voice, but warped like a warped record. I flicked the lighter. Flame kissed the air, revealing a woman in Olivia's coat, face shrouded. Who are you? She laughed, a sound like breaking glass. You really don't remember? The coat slipped, revealing Marissa's tear-streaked face. A bruise bloomed on her collarbone, shaped like Derek's ring. They think you sent the video, she whispered. They're coming. Who? Headlights slashed through the window. Tires screeched. Marissa pressed a key into my palm. Room 217 etched in brass before shoving me into the closet. Boots thudded. Voices snarled. Where is he? Marissa sobbed. Gone. Ran. A slap. A whimper. I clutched the key, its teeth biting my flesh. The closet door trembled. Through a crack, I watched Derek's brother, same smirk, same tattoos, grip Marissa's throat. You lied for him. My pulse roared. The lighter trembled in my other hand. I stepped out. Flame danced between us. Let her go. He laughed. Or what? You'll burn this place down too? The lighter fell. Marissa lunged. Chaos erupted. A tangle of limbs, a gunshot cracking the night. I ran. Rain washed blood from my hands. Or maybe it was sweat. Room 217 held answers. A duffel bag of cash, Olivia's passport, and a note in Derek's handwriting. Should have stayed quiet, Carter. Sirens wailed in the distance. I drove until dawn, the rearview mirror filled with smoke, and the ghosts of choices I'd pretended not to make. I drove until the highway dissolved into backroads, the duffel bag of cash heavy as a corpse on the passenger seat. Olivia's passport glared up at me, her smile frozen in better days. I'd memorized the stamps, Cancun, Toronto, places we'd talked about escaping to. Now they felt like taunts. The note in Derek's handwriting haunted me. Should have stayed quiet. I pulled over near a derelict barn, engine ticking like a time bomb. The cash was counterfeit. I realized too late, fingering the blurry Lincoln portraits, the paper too slick. A trap like everything else. Olivia's passport fell open to a folded Polaroid, us at the county fair, cotton candy staining her lips. On the back, her loopy script, "Forever starts here." I buried the bag under rotted hay, but kept the photo. The barn creaked, wind whistling through cracks like a ghostly laugh. The diner was a relic, vinyl booths cracked, coffee bitter as regret. I nursed a lukewarm cup, the Polaroid face down on the table. The bell jingled. Derek's brother slouched in, mirrored sunglasses hiding eyes I knew would burn. He slid into my booth, reeking of menthols and vengeance. She's dead. The words hung between us. My throat closed. Not Olivia, he smirked, tapping the table. Marissa. Found her in the motel bathtub. Wrist slit. Your knife. I stared at my reflection in his lenses, pale, cracked, a stranger. Cops will be here soon. He stood, tossing a burner phone onto the table. Or you can finish what you started. The phone buzzed. A single text, 47.2138 degrees north, 122.4255 degrees west. The coordinates led to a cliffside overlook, waves gnawing at rocks below. Olivia stood at the edge, hair whipping like wildfire. She turned, face gaunt, Derek's leather jacket swallowing her frame. You came. Her voice was raw. I wanted to scream, to shake her, to fold her into the Polaroid's lie. Instead, I froze. They made me do it, she whispered. The videos, the fire, Derek's debt. They said you'd pay. Wind snatched her words. A truth, a lie, it didn't matter. Headlights pierced the fog. Tires crunched gravel. Olivia stepped closer, her breath sour with fear. Jump with me. The ocean roared. I reached for her hand, then let go. Time fractured. Olivia's hand slipped through mine, her scream swallowed by the roar of the Pacific. She didn't plummet. She hung, fingers clawing at moss-slick rock, eyes wide with betrayal. The headlights behind us pinned her like a specimen. Derek's brother's truck, doors slamming, boots crunching gravel. I dropped to my knees, reaching again. Her nails dug into my wrist, drawing blood. Pull me up, she shrieked. But the weight of her lies Derek's jacket, the years of half-truths, it anchored her. Her grip faltered. A wave exploded against the cliff, salt spray stinging my eyes. When I blinked, she was gone. Derek's brother lunged, fists swinging. I rolled, his knuckles grazing my temple. "You killed her," he spat, though we both knew she'd been dead to him long before tonight. The others circled, 3 men, shadows with cigarettes and crowbars. I scrambled backward, the Polaroid falling from my pocket. Olivia's cotton candy smile flashed in the headlights. One man paused, squinting. "The fuck is that?" I seized the distraction. The cliff edge crumbled under my heels as I ran, their shouts chasing me into the pines. Dawn found me at the barn, digging up the counterfeit cash. The duffel reeked of gasoline and desperation. Inside, beneath the bills, I found a lion keychain, lioness etched on its tag. Olivia's from the motel. They came at noon. Derek's brother torched the barn, flames devouring the last proof of my innocence. I watched from the ridge, the keychain's teeth biting my palm, the Polaroid curled in the heat, Olivia's laugh dissolving into smoke. Below, sirens wailed. Cops, firefighters, vultures picking at the carcass of my life. I texted the coordinates to the burner phone, 47.2138 degrees north, 122.4255 degrees west. Let them find the cliff, the scuff marks, the ocean's indifferent hunger. The keychains sailed into the flames. I walked south, the road unraveling behind me like a severed thread. I settled in a desert town where the wind scrubbed bones clean. Days blurred into a numb rhythm, stocking shelves at a roadside gas station, sleeping in a trailer that smelled of rust and diesel. The manager, a woman with a shotgun behind the counter, never asked for ID. She called me Jack and paid me in cash. At night, I'd trace Olivia's Polaroid, her smile fading under my thumb. News of the barn fire reached me via a crumpled newspaper left in the bathroom. Arsonist linked to missing couple. Our faces side by side, Olivia's college yearbook photo, my Horizon Mart badge. The article called us star-crossed, as if betrayal were a romance. I burned the paper in a coffee can, watching ash rise like phantom wings. The first time I saw her, I thought it was a mirage. A woman in a sundress, hair bleached desert blonde, buying gum and lighter fluid. She hummed sweet nothing under her breath. I dropped a jar of pickled eggs, glass shattering like that long-ago photo frame. When I looked up, she was gone. Derek's brother found me on a dust-choked afternoon. He leaned against his truck, mirrored sunglasses reflecting the wasteland. No smirk now, just a hollowed-out shell of rage. "She's alive?" The words hung between us, swollen with venom. Saw her in Phoenix. Working a diner. Had some guy's kid on her hip. The desert heat thickened. I gripped the counter's edge, knuckles white. He spat near my boots. "You let her fall." But she landed just fine. The shotgun beneath the register weighed, cold in my hands. He laughed, a dry cough. "Go ahead. Make it easy." I tossed him a pack of cigarettes instead. On the house, he drove off, trailing a comet of dust. That night, I dreamed of Olivia laughing in a diner booth, a toddler smearing ketchup on Derek's jacket. I quit the gas station. Bought a bus ticket east with my last stack of counterfeit bills. The driver didn't check. Somewhere in New Mexico, I tossed Olivia's Polaroid into a rest stop toilet. Watched it swirl, her face dissolving into nothing. The lion keychain followed, swallowed by the vortex. Now I work construction, pouring concrete under skies heavy with unshed rain. My hands are calloused, nails cracked, nothing like the man who once polished shoes to avoid scuffs. Sometimes, when the concrete sets, I press my palm into its wet, gray flesh. Leave no print. Just a ghost of pressure erased by sunrise. The past never finds you unless you dig for it. So, I keep moving, one anonymous town to the next, building foundations for strangers. Forever starts here. One story may be ending, but the excitement never stops. Don't wait. Jump right into the next one and keep the thrill alive.